Hey everyone, it's leftovers for dinner, and there's Pepper, and here's Ben. And we're in a park in Chesapeake, Virginia. We drove all the way out here to deploy some Munzees, only to realize we forgot our zip ties. And since this is kind of a park, there's not too many signs, there's mostly trees, you kind of need zip ties for a lot of that. So rather than drive all the way home, and at that point it might be dark, I went rummaging around my car, and this is what I got so far. I found one zip tie, yay. Let me put that in my pocket. I found a ball chain for a really nifty, cheesy air freshener I had, and an SD card holder. I also found a scrunchie that just fell on the ground. But hopefully I can still deploy a couple of Munzees today and come up with some creative ways to use these so I can still deploy and get this park covered, because Chesapeake needs to get covered in Munzees. So here's to some happy deploying, and let's get started. So the first one I deployed is my little Munzee dog tag. Ben, quit pulling on the leash. As you can see, I used the ball chain from the air freshener that was in my car. It was one of those little fancy princess ones, but it came with a pretty sturdy ball chain. So I just wrapped it around twice around 2 branches. And I actually put it, if you can kind of see, off the beaten path. So I don't think too many people are going to mess with it. Now all I have to do is finish verifying it. There we go. Yay! Okay, verified my Munzee. So that's one down. Let's see how many more we can get done with the stuff I've got going on. Now, since this park is actually frequented by a lot of runners and joggers, I'm going to kind of put these off the beaten path, and maybe some geocachers and just kids exploring will run into them, get them into Munzee as well. Right, Ben? You could care less. Okay, a couple more to do. This Munzee I had to get a little creative with, since I am running low on things to attach these to. While we were all walking, Pepper, she found this weird little bandana thing on the ground. Looks a little beat up, nobody's claimed it. So what I did was I tore it into strips and basically fed it through the hole on the dog tag Munzee, actually like twice, and then I tied knots in areas where I felt it might fall apart. So there you go, basically something like an impromptu rope from something I found on the ground. I know that's kind of yucky, but it looked okay to me. Plus it looks old, so it's not the most reliable thing. I'm probably going to come back out here next weekend and use some zip ties, just go back to some of these and use zip ties, but in a pinch it worked. One more thing I'm going to do is I'm going to try to, with 2 hands, since I'm holding the camera, rip one more strip out of this fabric and try to feed it through that tiny little hole one more time. That way it just stays secure, and, you know, gosh forbid it rains really hard or a storm happens and this gets soggy and falls apart. But since it's real cloth, I'm pretty confident. Red dog tag, the one red zippy tie I did find in my car. And let's get it deployed. Let's hold still. There we go. And tied in a green fir tree, which is very itchy right now. I'm actually trapped in this tree, everybody. So, yep, there we go. That one was pretty easy. One sturdy little zip tie. And that's the easiest one I've deployed today. So we'll probably move on to getting more creative. This one actually took me a little while. If you can see, let my camera focus, that is my scrunchie. So all I did was I looped it in a certain way through the hole on my Munzee. This is my self-printed Munzee. Looped it through that hole, and then I very gently fed it all the way up this branch. So that's pretty sturdy too. Those scrunchies are just indestructible because they put up with my hair. But anyways, so I got one more deployed using my scrunchie and through a little hole. If you do, here's a little tip, if you do the self-printed Munzees, leave some space at the top or bottom. It just depends on how the laminating process goes, and punch a hole through them with like a hole puncher. That way, if you run out of places to put them, you can always strap them someplace. So there you go. Scrunchie Munzee. So we're 150 feet away from the last Munzee I deployed, and I'm officially out of things to use to tie or strap Munzees onto things. So this one, I had to get a little creative. What I have here is, man, it is sunny. I have the SD card case for my camera, and I stuck a Munzee in there, and now, see this little really tight crook of a tree? I'm just gonna put it in there. Now, my little SD card cases are actually supposedly waterproof. Is that a little bug? Oh well. So that's good. I mean, I've actually had my book bag get wet with my SD cards in it, and they've been fine, so this should hold up. And it's also wedged really tight in this little crack here, and should make for an interesting find. I mean, most people are expecting a sticker, so I'm sure they'll be rooting around in here. Let me pan around so you guys get a good view. Yeah, that's thorns and pine tree stuff. So, yep. Another interesting Munzee deployed. And I didn't have most of my necessary tools, so I was still able to deploy without all my normal tools.